Klobuchar.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, and thank you for holding this important hearing. Thank you for being here. I also wanted to express my sympathies and appreciation to Nadia and Michael and Stumo, who are here with us today. They lost their daughter, as we know, Samia Rose, in the crash in Ethiopia. We also lost a Minnesotan in that crash, and I want to acknowledge him as well. Mukhad Hussein from St. Cloud, Minnesota. I am glad that we passed this bill. It was really, really important to pass this bill, and I want to thank the chairwoman for her leadership. But now we have to make sure it gets implemented. That is always the trick. We can pass whatever bills we want, but we want to make sure that it gets done. Mr. Dickson, in your testimony, you highlighted a voluntary safety management system for manufacturers. And I know that you noted that several manufacturers, I think you said 4, are voluntarily adopting SMS. Does the FAA have plans to make SMS mandatory for manufacturers?
Yes, Senator. We have rulemaking underway, and we expect the NPRM to be out for public comment next year.
Okay. And when do you think that'll get done?
It will depend on the administrative process associated with rulemaking, but we are learning a lot from the programs that we have out there now. SMS has been very successful in the air carrier community, and applying it to manufacturers is a somewhat different paradigm. And so we're using that data and interaction and the oversight that SMS enables to make sure that we get the best possible initial proposed rule out there.
Okay, I'll ask another question on the record about, I know that Senator Cantwell asked about workforce and how important it is to have the qualified people to do that. I'll ask you that on the record. What steps has the FAA taken to establish international safety standards for foreign pilots? And how will you ensure that pilots and airlines are complying with those standards?
It's a great question. We have spearheaded the implementation of a pilot training and licensing panel at the International Civil Aviation Organization. We did that about 2 years ago. The FAA's chief scientist for human factors is providing leadership, as well as one of our top training subject matter experts, and that group continues to work to this day. We also take what we have done in the U.S. with upset prevention and recovery training, which is required for U.S. carriers now, and then we are promulgating that around the world. And as I said, I had several bilaterals with my Latin American counterparts last week. We will work with them to help them implement the kinds of beneficial training improvements that we undertake in the U.S.
Do you have a timetable for that?
It'll be ongoing work. I think the next significant step is at the ICAO Assembly, which is coming up next August. Okay. And but there will be work that will be ongoing between now and then.
In your testimony, you noted plans to update FAA policies in order to prevent fraud in the self-certification process. How can we trust that the updated self-certification process will not lead to cost-saving shortcuts that endanger passengers?
Senator, I've made it very clear from day one that safety cannot be compromised. It has to be our top priority. And we have to make sure, both within the agency and those that we oversee, that business pressures, production pressures, operational pressures do not overcome safety. And so that's what we are all about, making sure that we use the information that we get from our workforce and that they do the same thing to drive beneficial transparency and safety improvements.
Do you agree, this is a bill, I believe, the Safe Skies Act, but do you believe that cargo pilots should operate under the same fatigue rules as commercial airline pilots? This is a bill I have with Senator Cantwell, Blumenthal, Markey, and Gillibrand. Well,
there's no question that appropriately managing fatigue among pilots is critical to safety, and we have a requirement for fatigue risk management plans that have to be submitted every 24 months. We're not seeing anything in the data with the safety systems there. As you know, that happened a number of years ago. So it's something that we would certainly be interested in working with you on.
Continue to be concerned on that. And then finally, on cyber security, as we see across industries, there's more and more concern about what's going on, whether it's the electricity grid, whether it is aviation. Do you believe the FAA currently has sufficient resources and workforce to protect data, defend the national airspace system from the growing number of cybersecurity threats?
I receive regular updates, and I've been out to our command center several times on our cyber capabilities, and we're well positioned currently, but it is something that we need to be constantly vigilant about to make sure that we reduce our attack surface and we can continue to serve the public. So I think we are well positioned now, but it is an area of focus for us to make sure that we continue to bring on the workforce that we need in that area.
Okay, thank you.
Senator Sullivan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Administrator Dickson, good to see you. And I want to thank you and commend you for the work you and the FAA did on commissioning the